That was a tough night here, ladies and gentlemen. Some good calls here tonight for the Red Sox. Good managerial decisions, but also some questionable ones at the same time. Yankees force a game 3. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, yes, it is a tough night, but I mean, come on. Is it Red Sox-Yankees without a pivotal game 3? You would have liked to have closed it out here tonight, though, and that's a tough one because I felt like it was on the table here tonight. Tough one. It was back and forth all night. You felt like, okay, maybe this might not be our night here tonight. But then there were moments where you're like, okay, I think we got this in the bag. And then a couple of calls late, there's always going to be an argument for both sides when it comes to managerial decisions. Always. There's going to be always two sides of the coin. So I'm going to try and go down the middle as much as I can with some of those calls. I'll give you my take on how I'm feeling, at least as of right now. Of course, I could wake up tomorrow morning and feel a little bit different, but I'm going to give you my instant reaction here tonight. Tough one here in the end. Hard-fought game. This is Red Sox-Yankees. This is what it's always about. It's always back and forth. So you're going to really... You're going to analyze every single little call, especially when it comes to Red Sox-Yankees, and especially when it comes to Cora, who is pushing so many buttons, and he pushes a lot of good ones. I felt a little iffy on a couple of them here tonight. We'll break those down. If you do have a thought or a question or a reaction, go ahead, call the number on the screen. You can call or text the show. We did our first voicemail segment last night for the first time all year. That was incredibly fun. I love that. That's an awesome new feature I'm excited to be doing here on Monster Territory. And you could even text the show. We had a text message last night. I didn't realize that someone had texted the show. And so I'll make sure to check those. I did respond to that person with a text message. So if I for some reason miss anything, I'll do my best to get to you. So, but again, if you do have a reaction, go ahead, call the number on the screen. But let's get to it here. Everybody, if you can, I know it's a bummer of a night. I know it's a tough night. But if you can, help us out. Give us a like. Hit the hype button for us. Subscribe if you're new. We are within 100 subscribers. We're almost there, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's a tough one here tonight. But if you can, try to find it deep within inside you to hit that like for me. We don't like the result here tonight, but at least like the show. Anyway, let's get to it here. Getting to some of these calls, sticking with the instant reaction here. This is a bullpen game right from the get-go. We were all hoping Brian Bayo. We were hoping Bayo could be Bayo, right? That's been a line here on the show this year. Bayo being Bayo, but Bayo was not Bayo here tonight. Goodness gracious, I've said Bayo like 1,800 times in the last 10 seconds. But he didn't have it here tonight, and Cora had the quick hook. And I expected that, right? Chapman, Crochet, and then Chapman last night. Obviously, it's Crochet. You're going to give him the long leash. Yeah, of course. But when it came to Bayo, who has been a little iffy over the past month or so, he looked all right in his final start against the Blue Jays, looked a little better, but he just didn't carry that here. I don't know. Something just doesn't seem comfortable with him. He doesn't seem fully right. And it makes me wonder if there's a bit of a mechanical thing going on with him. I'm not sure what it is. He just didn't look right from the get-go. He was messy. Then he got pulled early, right? Shortest outing of his career. Obviously, this is the postseason, right? It's not the regular season. But he had not gone that short. He had not gone that short since I think it was his second year back in August. Sorry, I just got distracted by something. Back in August of 2022, I believe. Or was it 22, 23? Can't fully remember, but he left the game with an injury against the Astros. I think he went like 0 2/3. It's been a while since he's only gone that short of an outing. But he just didn't have it here tonight. You were okay with that, though, because your bullpen was fresh. They had a couple of days off. They were feeling good. You went to a lot of different relievers tonight. In the end, it just didn't work out. Whitlock was looking great, and he just didn't have it. And that's where, late in the game, Whitlock, he was cruising, and then all of a sudden, the command just got away from him. Looked like he just ran out of gas. The thing with Whitlock is, they've been mainly using him for about 1 inning outings for the most part. He has gone a little deeper during the regular season, but for the most part, over the past month or so, mostly around 1 inning, right? And he tried to lean into him. And I'm surprised when the lefty hitters, Jazz and Wells, were coming up there in the eighth. I kind of thought to myself, he's been Cora has been so aggressive when it comes to the matchups. And I know Chapman went last night, had a heck of an outing. Holy cow, a roller coaster of an outing. But I'm a little surprised it didn't go to the lefty in that situation, right? And Cora has not been afraid to push those buttons. I thought he was going to in that spot, and he didn't do it. But then again, the argument for staying with Whitlock is he was looking really good. So you were trying to lean into him. I felt like maybe you missed that opportunity there. That was tough. There was the SETI bunt attempt earlier in the game, and you had a couple of runners on, no outs. Yes, the argument is there where, yes, that could be a perfect spot to lay down a bunt, move the runners over, get them into scoring position, right? That's a prime opportunity to lay down a bunt. But then you also have to look at the guy that's there, the guy that's batting, and that's Cedar Rafaela, the guy that's come up in huge spots this year. In a way, I'm sort of surprised you didn't kind of let him swing away in that spot, try to come up with a big knock there. And a guy that, yes, he's laid down some bunts before, but you see more of those big hits from him, right? I don't know. That was questionable to me. It just didn't feel right in the moment. It is what it is. You had Eaton, Masa showing the speed. We love that perfect running form with Masataka Yoshida. He had that ball hit to Jazz. Jazz, made a good play, but made an off-balance throw to first. Wasn't a good throw. Rice couldn't come up with it. But on a different replay angle, you saw Eaton rounding third. And you're thinking, Hudson, that could have been an opportunity where an aggressive send home, in that, it's a bang-bang decision. Like, you got to make that just like that. That's a tough call in that moment. But then, you look at Jazz, he was off balance with the throw. And with Eaton's speed, especially with a guy like him, could that have been an opportunity to send home Eaton? And that's not really on Cora right there. That's, Hudson. I felt like that could have been one of those aggressive plays where, yeah, sure, you're going to have people, if that did happen, they're going to look back and be like, oh, why are you sending him? But it's kind of one of those where I could agree with the aggressiveness in that spot. It is what it is. Just some calls that didn't really go your way here tonight. The aggressiveness was there, but then there was just the lack of, when it came to maybe pulling Whitlock. Again, it's always, you have to look at it from both sides. So, Cora, for the most part, he's been very good with his decisions in the past, and he was, good last night with some of the platoon matchups, but I don't know. It is what it is. It is what it is. Trevor Story, the positive here tonight. Big game for Trevor Story. Holy cow. I mean, the guy, sorry for the pun, he continues to just be a phenomenal story this year. He was the offense of the Red Sox tonight, had the base knocked to tie it earlier in the game, had the big home run there. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. On the home run, he picked up Jarren Duran. Sorry to get back to a negative here, but Duran, the score. The score. I apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. As I'm going through watching the game, I'll update the final score. And I missed that this time. I apologize. Goodness gracious. We're all just a mess here tonight. But thank you in the chat. Swifty Edits. Thank you for that, my friend. Final score, 4-3. But Duran, bad defensive play. That hurt them here tonight. Duran, I get it. That was a running play for him, but he was coming in. It looked like he made up all the ground on it. I don't know what happened. I couldn't tell if maybe a cleat got stuck in the grass, or I don't know what happened. He just came up lame on it. Ball bounced out of the glove. Listen, Duran, that guy, he's such a dynamic player, and the good things that he does, he can be electric. But then there's just times where he has come up short, especially, defensively on the base paths. I don't know what happened there. I couldn't quite tell if like a cleat got stuck or something, and I don't know. I couldn't quite tell. It just seemed just weird. Something looked awkward about it. But yeah, Duran, in the end, though, it's the postseason. You got to make those plays. And they scored a run on the play. And I see you in the chat. Scotty Boy 26, what an incredible game. As a Yankee fan, I love this rivalry, and much respect to you guys. I mean, you got it right there, Scotty. At the end of the day, this was a great game here tonight. Back and forth game, close game. It was a chess match, just like I've been saying coming into the series. I knew what this was going to be. And in the end, the Yankees took this one. They took this one. Tip of the cap. They showed up here tonight. They got the job done, and they took advantage of a couple of mistakes. They held strong, and they won the game. That's what it is. Much respect to the Yankees here tonight. Trying to think. Anything else I can quickly react to? I don't know. I'll probably think of something as we go through, but we'll go through it here. We'll go through the offense. We'll go over the starting pitching. We'll go over the starting pitching from Bayo tonight. We'll go over the bullpen. And then we'll go over Game 3, a pivotal Game 3. I would imagine Connolly Early is going to get that start. I don't think that's been announced unless I just completely missed it. But he seems like the obvious guy to get that nod. We'll go over it, though. The Yankees do have their starter for tomorrow, and Cam Schlittler. We'll go over him. We'll look at the keys to the Red Sox for tomorrow night. Let's get to it. Everybody, one more time, if you can, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Also, going to do a little bit of a plug here. And we do have merch now available here on Monster Territory. So if anyone is interested in maybe getting a shirt, maybe getting a hat, there is merch available here on the channel now. Do just want to let that be known. Go check it out. But let's get to it here. Let's get to it. Let's go to Bayo here. Let's go to Bayo. First inning, right off the bat, he was throwing strikes. The first few pitches of the game, I felt like, he was looking okay and, had himself right. He was throwing strikes. He was staying away from Judge, but then Bellinger got the base hit. He left a sinker up. Then Ben Rice took advantage of a cutter right over the plate. Can't be doing that. It's the postseason, man. And that's where I wonder, something's been off with his command over the last month or so. I don't know. He just didn't look like he had it. Narvaez, he definitely wanted it away, and he just leaked it over the plate. Sorry, you can't be leaving a cutter over the middle of the plate to a lefty bat like Ben Rice. That guy mashes against the Red Sox, and he's a perfect fit for Yankee Stadium. Probably the worst pitch you could leave over the plate for him. Then, he came back in the second inning. He walked Volpe, but then he got the big double play there. And the third inning, it was just he's leaving stuff over the plate. McMahon with the base hit, Judge with the base hit. And that was it for Bayo here tonight. 2 1/3, 4 hits, 2 earned. Gave up the home run to Rice. There's not really a whole lot to go over. You were hoping for more from Bayo here. I don't know. I don't know if he's just kind of ran out of gas here in the last month. Again, is he dealing with something mechanically? Is he dealing with some... I don't know. I don't want to, try to come up with all the excuses, but I just wonder, is there something, even an injury maybe? He looked so good there for pretty much most of the season, and then, I don't know, something happened over the last 5 starts or so. Even against the Yankees his last time out, I don't know. Just didn't really have it. So, I don't know, Bayo, a little disappointing here tonight. A little disappointing. We'll get to the bullpen. Of course, there's a lot of different relievers that they went to here tonight. We'll go over those. Real quick, though, going to go over tonight's sponsor, friendly sponsor of the show, helping keep the lights on. We'll be right back. October baseball is here, and the pressure's on, the lights are brighter, and with DraftKings Sportsbook, you're right there in the middle of every moonshot moment. Live in-game betting and odds that can change as fast as a ball is flying over the fence. New customers bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. So go ahead and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL, that's code FOUL, to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
All right, let's break this down. We'll get to, do we go over the bullpen first? Do we go over the offense? Let's go over the offense here. We'll kind of go a bit of a back and forth here. Rodon getting the start here tonight. Rodon, he was solid here, and he was doing a good job early. He was going with the soft breaking stuff, right? Lots of sliders, staying away from the righties. Ref Snyder's Story with the K to start things off, and then he was changing locations, right? Then he went inside with Bregman, got the pop out. After that, the Yankees took the 2-0 lead on the home run. Third inning, you got yourself cooking here. You got yourself cooking in the third inning. Duran with the base hit, Seti with the walk, Sogard with the bunt, Rodon with a bad throw over to first base, and all of a sudden you got the bases loaded. And this is a spot where I feel like this almost gets forgotten. It got kind of lost in the shuffle, but that's a big spot for Ref Snyder right there. Bases loaded, and this is a guy that he's been so good against lefties. And I know you can't have them all, but man, that's a tough spot there, striking out. That's why he's in the spot that he's in, and it just stunk right there. But then Story picking him up right after that, base hit, tied it up at 2 right there. That's a big knock against Story. He's been absolutely fantastic. But Rodon, he bent, but he didn't fully break here tonight. He cruised in the 4th and the 5th. Story got to him again with the massive home run, tied it up at 3. The Yankees had put another run on the board at that point. One more time with Story. He's just been the glue all year. But he picked up Duran in such a big way, right? Duran right before that, we just talked about it, had the drop ball. Hey, that's what you got to do for your guys, man, right? You got to come through, and unfortunately, it is what it is. 7th inning, this was another spot. Rodon, the command basically was gone at that point. He walked Eaton. Duran, in a way, kind of made up for that drop ball, sort of. Got hit by the pitch, right? Took it. Then that was it for Rodon. Fernando Cruz was in. And this is where you had a couple of weird calls, right? Seti going for the bunt. Again, I get it. I get it from a baseball point of view, but I think there's just certain spots where, yes, analytically or, whatever, situational, that might be a good call. But I just think with Seti, with how many big moments that he's had, that's a spot where he's looking to do some damage. And I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of it. I don't know, man. Like, if it's Sogard, I'm cool with that. But with Seti, he's been such a clutch hitter this year. Again, I can understand why you would lay down the sack bunt, but he's had a knack for the big moment. So I don't know. Shoulda, woulda, coulda in the end. But then it got more interesting after that. Massa had the ground ball to second base. Jazz, made the stop, but he made an off-balance throw. Ended up not being a great throw over to first. Massa beating it out. And then Eaton rounding third. Again, it's one of those moments where in the moment, that's a really tough call, right? But I just think with Jazz, there was just a lot going on right there. I feel like that's a spot where maybe you try to be aggressive. And Eaton's got the speed where he can make something happen, right? He's a good base runner, not just because of the speed, but he has good instincts on the base paths as well. I think there's an argument for both. For me, I just look back, hey, Cora, if you're wanting to be aggressive, again, it's not just Cora, but it's Hudson, right? Third base coach. So I don't know. Just not sure what was going on at third right there. I personally, I feel like when you saw what Jazz was doing, what was going on, how that play was unfolding, that I think was a chance to be aggressive with Eaton. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. I have seen a lot of people feel the same way, but I'm definitely open to an argument against it. But then Story, I mean, Story is seeing the ball here. I mean, he almost got into one right there. Deep fly out, almost 400 feet off the bat, 102 miles an hour. Yeah, Yankee Stadium got that deep center field, right? Couldn't come through. In the end, he just ran out of juice. But Story definitely got into it. Could you imagine if Story had homered right there? Holy cow. We would have been going crazy. And we would have been just, the roof would have just, well, our roof, maybe not Yankee Stadium, but we would have went berserk. Could you imagine if Story got that? Holy cow. That would have been a performance for the ages. Man, oh man. After that, eighth inning, Bregman had the leadoff base hit. Couldn't come up with anything after that. Bednar came in, locked it down. Bednar, his stuff looked good here tonight. He was looking really good. In the end, the offense just wasn't able to come up with anything else. But then for the bullpen, Wilson, he came in. He was the lefty guy to come in after Bayo. Got it cleaned up right there. Had the belly fly out. Got Ben right. That's the spot where I was a little nervous about Wilson coming in because he hasn't looked all that great. He's had he's been all right over the past month at times, but he's just been really inconsistent. But he came through right there. He had the belly fly out. Ben Rice with the hard line out right there. He had the 1-2-3 fourth. Fifth inning, Slayton came in. McMahon, Volpe got them. Grisham with the walk. He got ahead of him, and then he threw 4 straight balls. I don't know what happened, right? Then the wild pitch. Grisham moved up to second base. Judge with the blooper out to left field. Bounced off Duran's glove. They made it 3-2. And then you bring in Matz right there to face Bellinger. Got him to ground out, but that's tough, right? Tough for Slayton because he was looking like he was going to get through it. Sixth inning, Matt stayed in. Couple of base hits to Rice and Wells. Stanton with the flyout. Jazz with the strikeout. Zach Kelly. How about Zach Kelly, man? This is a guy where, beginning of the year, we were like thinking, I've said this multiple times, but here we are again. Multiple times this year thinking, what the heck? Why is this guy even on the team? He came through in a big spot, struck out Volpe. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's just Volpe, but Volpe's been kind of a pest so far here in the first couple of games, right? Whitlock, he looked great in the seventh. Looked great. McMahon strikeout. Grisham did have the double, but then he got Judge on the strikeout, right? Froze him with the sinker. He went with the breaking stuff early, and then he got him on the sinker. But then the eighth inning, he stayed in. Again, he got the first couple of outs. He was cruising. Rice with the strikeout, Stanton with the ground out. But then you see the lefty bats coming up, right? You see Jazz. You see Austin Wells back-to-back. And Chapman was available here tonight, right? It's one thing if he wasn't against the postseason, right? You're available every night. That's just how it is in the postseason, right? You got to get yourself ready. I just feel like that was the spot for Chapman to come in. I could understand leaving Whitlock against Jazz. That's a spot that I can understand that because he was cruising up to that point. But after the walk, that's where I feel like there was a bit of a lack of feel right there. But again, it's tough because Whitlock has looked so good. But if you've been aggressive with the pitching changes, with the pinch hitters, I don't know, why wasn't it here? Why didn't it happen right here? I don't know. Well, you left him in to face Wells, and then Wells did the damage, and he drove in Jazz. Good base running from Jazz. A lot of people were talking about Jazz not playing yesterday. Again, it's, obviously Crochet was pitching, lefty, right? Obviously, Whitlock is a righty. But, this is what Jazz can bring to the table. He can bring that speed, right? He brings those, he 30-30 season this year, right? But, he can bring those electric plays, and you just saw it right there on the base paths. So, and that was the game right there. That was the difference. Should you have gone to Chapman in that spot? You ended up going to Tolle, right? After you're down 4-3, you brought in Tolle anyway. So I don't know. It was just a questionable eighth inning. I'll always be open to both sides when it comes to pitching changes. platoon matchups, stuff like that. Again, it's always going to go a couple of different ways, but that was tough. That's tough. I was surprised Chapman was not in the game. Maybe I'll feel differently tomorrow, but felt like a spot. Oscar in the chat. Oh yeah, Oscar, can I start left field? Oh, you don't want my doofus self out there. I'll tell you that right now. Knowing me, I'll run after a ball out there and I'll pull my hamstring. That's how. Absolutely not, Oscar. I appreciate that though. Alejandro, can I pitch? Huh. I mean, I'll probably tear my rotator cuff warming up, to be completely honest with you. I mean, goodness gracious. You don't want me anywhere near the field. I'll tell you that right now. Barry, 2 inches killed Whitlock. Yeah, that Wells, the base knock from Wells, wow. Or the double. That was a close one, man. I actually thought it was foul when it landed. I thought it was going to be a close foul. No, just caught inside. Corbin, can I ump? I don't know if I can ump. I don't think I can do anything. I can barely even talk about the game. My potato brain, I can barely even get through a show here sometimes, for crying out loud. God, I'm useless. I am just useless out there, man. I'll do my best to talk about the show after, but I think that's all I got. I don't know. Christopher, why can't Ref or Romy hit all of a sudden? I talked about this coming into the series. I said the Yankees were going to be very careful with those guys. Because that was one of the talking points, right, for the Red Sox offense. You got these righty bats against the lefties. Well, the Yankees, they found a way to survive here tonight. Now you got a pivotal Game 3. We're going to talk about Game 3. We're going to talk about it. But again, just missed chances here tonight. You had your spots. Overall, what was the final tally with the Red Sox with runners in scoring position? 2 for 7. You had multiple spots here tonight. I don't know. Joseph, how do you not send Eaton there? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's tough. I think that's something we're definitely gonna be thinking about here. It's definitely something we're gonna be thinking about. If you are watching here on Nesson, we do have to wrap it up right there. We are at a time. But if you do want to see the Game 3 preview, come on over to YouTube, Monster Territory, and you can catch that here. Nesson viewers, we'll see you tomorrow for Game 3. Let's get to it here. Let's get to Game 3. And yes, I do believe we have a couple of voicemails. If you do want to leave a voicemail or a text message, I believe we've gotten a text message. We have gotten a couple of text messages, right? Again, my doofus self, I didn't see the texts yesterday. Goodness gracious. I was like, where are the text messages? And I didn't realize there was a button. All I had to hit was one little button. Anyway, but we got a couple of text messages. We got a couple of voicemails. We'll get to those at the end of the show. Let's get to Game 3. Let's get to it here. This is going to be interesting. Well, as you can see right here, the legendary TBD is slated. Let's actually refresh the screen. Has that been announced? Oh, it has been announced. All of a sudden, the legendary TBD is Connolly Early. There it is, Connolly Early. I'm going to be very honest with you. Yes. Would my heart love to see Early go deep into a game, right? Can he give you 5 strong? 6 strong? Can he do that? That would be amazing. That would be, what a way to start your career if you could do that. I'm going to be very honest, though. I think there's going to be a short leash. I could see one time through the lineup. And the way Core has been when it comes to using the bullpen in the postseason, I don't expect Early to go long. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I do. I would love to see Connolly Early come up big, just like we saw John Lester in the postseason back in 2007 against the Rockies, right? Early in his career. Early, no pun intended. But what a moment that would be if he could come up just firing right off the bat, shutting down the Yankees for, 5 innings, 6 innings. Would be amazing. But I don't know, man. I'm expecting to see something with what we saw against the Rays the last time. A couple of starts ago, right? I think he went 5 against the Tigers. I'm expecting a 3-4 inning outing tops. Even if he ends up pitching well, I wonder how long Cora is going to let him go. I mean, hey, we'll see. Maybe Cora, he's thinking, all right, if you got a lead, let's say that. Let's say you got a lead. Maybe a nice, comfy lead. Maybe you let him cook, right? You kind of go by feel in that spot. But if it's a close game, I think if you're in the third inning and all of a sudden he gives up a base hit, gives up a walk, I think that's when you could see him get pulled. Hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see a performance like that, a performance of the ages for a guy making his fifth start at the major league level. That would be crazy. But going up against early, we have another rookie, Cam Schlittler. That's a tough one to say, Schlittler. Goodness gracious, that's a tough one. But he has been very solid for the Yankees this year. I'll go over the keys for early in just a second, but let's focus on Schlittler. He has had more experience under his belt so far here in 2025. 14 starts, 73 innings, ERA at a 2.96, FIP at a nice and modest 3.74. Almost a full run higher, but with Schlittler, he's been racking up the Ks, over 10 strikeouts per nine this year. Right under 4 walks per nine. I'll get to that in a second, but he has been able to keep the ball in the yard, right around a home run per nine. The big thing with Schlittler is the fastball. He's had a very good fastball this year. He's got some good velo. What is he averaging? Right around 98 miles per hour on the fastball velo this year. He's ranking in the 95th percentile. That's what you're going to see from him. You're going to see a lot of fastballs, both to lefties and the righties. 50% to righties this year, 58% to lefties. So he's actually used it more against these lefty bats. So that could be that could be a bit of a storyline there against these lefties, right? Duran, Massa, Willier. So that's going to be interesting to see how he attacks them. When it comes to the secondaries, he's going to mix in the cutter. He's going to mix in the curveball. You'll see a few sinkers. That's pretty much going to be it. But you're going to see mostly fastballs. You're going to see the cutters. And you're going to see the curveballs. Now, as you can see, he's ranking in the 82nd percentile when it comes to the strikeout percentage. He's had a good strikeout rate, like we said. However, those walks, that's where I'm looking for the Red Sox to dial in the patience, to take the pitches, especially against the rookie pitcher, right? They're going to take their time. They're going to try and work up that count. They're going to try and get to that bullpen. I think that's going to be the key right there. However, there's one more key that I'm going to look at. If you're looking to do some damage, you got to put the ball in the air. And I think there's one way you can do it. As you can see here, ground ball percentage in the 20th percentile with Schlittler. He's a guy that gets the ball, he puts the ball in the air. And one pitch I'm going to be looking for the Red Sox to try and look for is the curveball. Batters this year hitting .275 against the curveball. Expected slugging at a .402. He's given up a home run off of it, but that's one where the whiff percentage is pretty low on it, right around 22%. Let's see, right? Exit velo, right around 90 miles per hour. That's a pitch that I'm going to see the Red Sox try to take advantage of. If they can find a curveball hanging over the plate, they got to be ready for it, right? We'll see. This fastball is going to be tough to hit. He's had a lot of success with his fastball this year. Has a 9-run value. Batters are only hitting .176 against it. He's got a pretty solid whiff percentage on it. That's going to be tough. We'll see. We'll see what the Red Sox can do. They've had their ups and downs when it comes to the fastball this year, especially against good velo. Sometimes they've shown some good things, sometimes not so much. We'll see what they can do. But that's what I'm looking for against Schlittler. Take the pitches. Look for a curveball hanging, right? He's definitely going to come at you, but get yourself ready for a breaking ball. If you can find one over the zone, you got to do some damage, right? That's what I'm thinking. What do I know? I'm not a pitching coach. I'm not a hitting coach. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking there, right? Connerly Early. With Early, obviously, he's had a lot of success here, right? Only 4 starts up to this point. Very good in the minors up to this point. But 4 starts, 2.33 ERA, FIP at a 0.91. But looking at Early here, obviously he's not qualified yet, so you're going to see a lot of fuzziness when it comes to his rankings. But there's a lot of Reds here so far. I think if this guy can just keep what he's doing, throwing strikes, let the stuff just take over, right? Just hit the zone. Don't leave these meatballs right over. Right, but the thing with him is there's not really been a whole lot of meatballs with him, right? The fastball's got good life. He's going to throw it. He's throwing it more against the righties. Not really so much against the lefties. He's been using the sinker against the lefties more so. So keep an eye out for that. So I'm expecting guys like Bellinger, Jazz, Wells, Rice. Well, is Rice even going to play? Is Jazz even going to play? I don't know. But I'm expecting that sinker to be going in on those guys. And then he's going to go after these righties with the fastball. Of course, I think he's going to stay away from Judge. He's going to stay away from Stanton. He's going to stay away from the big boppers, right? Changeup, he uses it 25% of the time against the righties. Curveball, he's been using it 25% against the righties. So, yeah, really against lefties, he's more fastball sinker. He's going with the hard stuff against the lefties. And against the righties, he's leaned more into that soft stuff, right? He is still using the fastball, but the usage with the off speed and the breaking is up against the right-handed batters. So, again, we'll see how far he goes, right? I think it's going to be just a matter of, can the Red Sox give him a comfortable lead early on? Sorry for the pun. I think that's key, right? I don't expect him to be in this game very long. I hope I'm wrong. We'll see what happens. Those are the keys for me. Going up against Schlittler tomorrow, I do expect all the lefty bats. Nate Lowe, he had a tough double play there tonight. We had a few double plays here tonight that really came back to bite us in the hiney. But I'm expecting the lefty bats. Duran, I'm expecting him to be in the leadoff spot. You're going to see a different lineup here tomorrow, right? I mean, you're going up against the righty and Schlittler. So, Duran, back in the leadoff spot. Massa, hey, guy's been swinging. I expect him to probably be in the cleanup spot. Let's see. But Romy, will Romy be in this lineup? We'll see, right? He has had some success against the righties. We'll see. Or is Sogard going to be in that spot? I mean, I don't think Hamilton's going to be in that spot. I could see Sogard back in there, right, playing second base. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah, you're going to get your lefty bats back in here. So, let's get to it here. We got a couple of voicemails to get to. We got the voicemails. We got a couple here. Let's get the first one. I am more in tune with the voicemails here. Let's take a look-see. Oh, that didn't work. How did I do this last night? Oh, okay, that's what I did. Okay, there we go. All right, first voicemail.
Robbie, man, I'm worried. So, what is the plan for Game 3? Because we got early on the mound, and honestly, I'm expecting like 3 or 4 innings maybe. He'll be good, but like 3 or 4 innings. So, what are we doing with this darn bullpen, man? Whitlock's been, Chapman's good. What do we do with this bullpen? It's like everyone's been, dude, we're so cooked, man. We are not winning this game, bud.
Oh, was that it?
I hate that baseball.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So yeah, I mean, obviously you could hear the. Sorry to laugh when you said I'm worried. It just made me laugh. Here's the thing. I don't expect really too much of a difference here tomorrow. I expect Cora to stay aggressive. Again, there were a couple of spots here tonight, maybe not as aggressive here, but I'm expecting Cora to keep on doing what he's been mostly doing here for the first couple of games, pushing all the buttons. The bullpen, what are we going to do with the bullpen? Like I said, I think Early is going to be on a short leash. I think he's going to be a quick hook unless he gets a comfortable lead and they just let him go. I think you're going to see another heavy bullpen game. You're going to see all the matchups. We'll see what ends up happening. But thank you, my friend. Thank you for adding on to our voicemail segment. Let's get to the next one here. Let's take a look-see. All right, let's download that one. Here we go. Got a bit of a longer one here. Here we go.
What's going on, Robbie? This is Dylan. I've been a fan for 4 years, man. 2021, the trade deadline, been a fan since then. Anyways, my question was, let's say we make it past the series again with Connolly early in the Game 3. For starting in the ALDS, who would you think would be more realistic to be starting? I mean, Bale, how he looked right now, he did not look good at all. To be honest, I feel like it would be kind of good keeping him in there starting, see what he can do next time. But, maybe they give the call to Kyle Harrison or maybe even Tolley. He had that good first couple starts, but, they moved him to the bullpen. So, me personally, I would say Crochet, obviously, Bale, and then either switch it early or Harrison. That would be my best guess, but I mean, if you had any other thoughts, maybe even bringing up Dustin May, to get another right-hander in there. Just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, man. And thanks for the show. Love the show, bro.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. I love you, my friend. Thank you for calling in. But again, we got to get there first, right? Don't want to jinx anything. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. But if you are to get there, I don't think Crochet would go game 1. I think he would go game 2. I believe the way the dates line up, I think that would be normal rest for Crochet going game 2. I actually wonder if Bayo would be able to go again, because he didn't really have a long pitch count here tonight. I wonder if you could go back to him. Then again, Kyle Harrison could be an option as well. Do you go to another bullpen game? I don't know. I think that's what it would be. I think it would either be Harrison or you go back to Bayo. That's what I think. I don't know. I'd be surprised if Crochet went, because that would be pretty short rest up to that point. So I think he would be more slated for game 2. So that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, especially with Cora, he's comfortable going with the bullpen game. You would have an off day, a little bit of time off there for a bullpen game. So I think that's the way they would probably go. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you calling in. Here we go. We got a couple of text messages here. What do we got here? Hey, Robbie, Sean from Parkersburg, West Virginia. Gotta love it. Follow you on Twitter under the hand of Bo Soccer 2003. Good name. Long-time listener to you, Massa Territory. Thank you for all you do for us fans, providing us news and updates. Appreciate that, my friend. Don't have any questions, just my own insight on Game 2's miscues. If Duran makes that catch on Judge's fly ball to left field, that saves a run. Yeah. That felt like a lot of the air came out of the Red Sox at that point. You have to make that catch. No excuses. He makes so many catches. I think we take it for granted that he will. This time he didn't. It's funny with Duran because he has had mishaps out there this year. We've seen him. We saw it in Milwaukee. Remember that one in Milwaukee? That was tough. Said he looked pretty lazy trying to hold the head of the bat down. That's the thing. You don't really see Seti. I think he's had maybe, unless I'm just going blank, I feel like I haven't seen him bunt all that much. I just say swing away. Said here, I love Seti as a player, but sometimes I question his effort behind everything. You kind of that's what I mean. Like, I'm never going to question, the effort, but you almost wonder, like, you're telling him to bunt, what's the mentality? Seti wants to have a big moment, right? He's looking for that. He feasts off of that. He feasts off of the big moments. And then you're saying, all right, lay down the bunt. And you're like, oh, I wonder what he was thinking. With our bullpen being depleted and a young rookie pitcher being tasked to win a playoff game on the biggest stage in the Bronx is one tall order. I want us to win, but I don't feel the odds are in our favor. Tell me your thoughts. I'm kind of at this point, you just never know. I know that's a bit of a cop-out answer, but the way Cora does things, the amount of times he'll push a button with the bullpen, it comes out of the matchups. Are you going to be able to execute it, right? I think tonight a couple of missed spots, but if you can hit the spots there tomorrow, I think you can still win it. And early, the stuff has looked good with him. So if you can at least get a few good innings out of him, I'll take that, and you can let the bullpen go the rest of the way. But they got to get to Schlittler. They got to figure that out. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate the text. Here we go. Next one. Brutal loss, no doubt, but Schlittler grew up as a Red Sox fan, so let's hope he helps us out a little bit. We can go get that win tomorrow, move on to Toronto. Yeah, that would be pretty nice. I think I saw something from Schlittler today that he did grow up as a Red Sox fan, but he was telling his family, like, hey, we got to be Yankee fans now. No, Schlittler. Come on, my friend. I'm kidding. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. It's funny, Ben Rice, now Schlittler, right? Ben Rice, Massachusetts native, and now Schlittler. With one more here before we wrap up tonight's show. Mike from Texas here. With Whitlock basically cooked for tomorrow, if you've got a tie game going into the 7th, the 8th, would a Bayo appearance be a good call? I don't think so. I personally don't think so. I look for stuff, right? I mean, unless you got to, I don't know. That's tough. Again, it's kind of out of his realm to be coming out of the bullpen like that. You just wonder from he didn't throw a whole lot of pitches here tonight. But is that something you really want to do with him, back-to-back days like that? I don't know. I feel like routine-wise, that's probably not the best idea. I don't know. The only way, I don't think you see that, personally. I think you got your guys in the bullpen. You're going to turn to that. The only way I could see Bayo coming out of the bullpen, again, I don't think it happens, but is like you need some weak contact, and you got a righty bat for like 1 out. That's the only way I could see that happening. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Thank you, everyone, for the voicemails here tonight. Thank you for the text messages. A bummer here tonight. Not the ending that we wanted, but I agree. Alejandra, let's be positive. We got this. Alejandra, I agree. We got this. Oh, man, we got another Yankee fan coming into the chat. Joshua in the chat going woo-woo in the chat. We can't have that here tonight. Man, oh, man. Josh says you like jazz. More of a classical fan, actually. I like more of that kind of stuff. Hits the soul a little bit more. I definitely don't like jazz here tonight. Goodness gracious. Jazz is not going to be talking to the media tonight with his back turned. Last night, what was Jazz looking for in his locker last night? He was looking for a shirt. What was he looking for? Looking for a shirt? Looking for his Game Boy? Like what's he looking for? Jazz, come on, man, come on. Anyway, I hope Jazz found the shirt that he was looking for. I'm out of here, everybody. Thank you for coming out here tonight. Again, a bummer of a night, but it is what it is. Believe in Knicks. He's looking for an RBI. Well, hey, he got the run scored there tonight, but he's feeling all right. But you know what? We'll see what happens tomorrow. It's not Red Sox Yankees, right? I mean, come on. This is how it has to end. It just has to be this way. It's got to be Game 3. It's just the way it is. It's the way the cookie crumbles. But it's going to be an exciting one tomorrow. I'm probably going to be getting a heart attack a couple of times tomorrow. I'm probably going to vomit at some point. We'll see what happens. We'll have some fun. Everybody, I'm out of here. Thank you for watching tonight. If you can on the way out, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, hit the hype button, and we'll see you tomorrow.